This is for everybody that is joining us live today and also might be watching this as a record version that's going to be coming later. So everybody that registered for this workshop today will be getting a copy, not only of this brief webinar, but also of the full transcript of what we've discussed today. I'm going to go ahead and do some sharing, and so I can jump right in. You wanted to learn a little bit more about what you can be doing in your business to strengthen the fidelity and the dedication. And this is one of the important 14 pillars that we have in our platform, which is so important because fidelity and getting people to be dedicated and secure to the work that they're doing for you, with you, in the company is not an easy thing to do. So we're going to be focusing on strengthening the fidelity and the dedication and giving you 3 specific conscious leadership strategies that you can put into place right now. And so you know where all these things kind of fit in with what we're doing today. I wanted to share what the other pillars are with you. You heard me mention there's 14 pillars, and we are focusing on number 7, which is fidelity and loyalty. There's 14 pillars for successful business relationships. I've worked my way through the first 3 so far this year, and we're coming up to fidelity and loyalty. So I just want to see where that fits in to the rest of the qualities that really have to be present for success in business. And so just so you know what the structure is of this workshop today, I'm going to give you about 20 minutes of content, because I want to give you these 3 specific strategies. Then I'm going to open it up to any questions that you may have about either the content shared or any issue you'd like to workshop with me on things that are going on in you and your business. So the time is for you. I will stay on as long as there are questions or people would like to work specifically through some of the challenges they may be experiencing. So as we move on, I want you to also think about what the core energy lens is. And the lens that we're looking through today is about loyalty. It's about commitment and reliability. And this is not something, a perk or a quality that you can say you really hope is going to come into your business. They're really about outcomes that you intentionally have to share and make happen. So this is the one slide of theory that you're going to get today. So everything after this is practical. And I want you to know that, have you ever walked into a Monday 9 a.m. meeting and felt the entire room's shoulders creep up toward their ears, right? So if you've experienced that, then you've experienced what catabolic energy is. And it's contagious, right? And so is the other kind. The other kind of that energy that you see up there right now is called anabolic energy. And the good news is you, as the leader, are the thermostat. You're the one that gets to determine what the temperature is. You're not the thermometer. You're not the one that's just measuring. You're the one that is making the temperature what it is in the room with the people that you're working on. So every strategy today is really one specific move. It's about shifting a moment from catabolic to anabolic energy. So we're going to work on making that concrete, because the qualities of catabolic, defensive, reactive, and draining, are the ones we don't want in our company, on our teams, or with the people that we're working with. We want the anabolic kind of energy, which is constructive, engaged, and resourceful. And that's what we're going to focus on today. So you heard me mention previously that loyalty is not a perk. It's really a byproduct of the work that you're doing. So look at these 2 columns. You've got catabolic signals on the left, which is the things that quietly erode loyalty. And those are blame and defensiveness, status only, task only check-ins, reacting on autopilot, meaning you just respond, inconsistent follow-through from you as the leader. And then here's the shift. If you move over to the anabolic, which quietly builds up, there's qualities of curiosity and ownership, meaning first conversations, a grounded, chosen response that you give as the leader that's based on your values. And then predictable, kept promises. Every time you come through on a commitment or a promise with the people you work with, you get collateral. You make deposits in their emotional bank account. And the three strategies we're going to talk about today are going to do a great job of moving you from the catabolic, the stuff that erodes trust and loyalty, and into the anabolic side that helps quietly build it up. So if your last team huddle sounded like a hostage negotiation, deadline blockers, who's behind, you were fully catabolic. We've all been there. And so let's talk about what that exit ramp looks like. Little cartoon for a little bit of humor. We've got to work on cultivating loyalty. So increase it by 30% or you're all fired, right? Sometimes that is what we or what people hear when we talk about what we're trying to build in our organization. So let's specifically talk about what we're going to build today. The first strategy we're going to talk about is the anabolic alignment conversation. The second strategy is how can you lead from consciousness, not circumstance, meaning staying in touch with your values and not your emotion or your reaction. And then the third strategy we're going to go into is the reliability ritual. And then we're going to end up with what your one commitment can be in this week and open it up to any questions that you or anybody else may have. So take notes. You're going to get a full summary of notes along with a replay of this video. So don't be so concerned about catching every single point and writing today. Just be present, write a question down if you have it, and then we will make sure that we come back and revisit those things. All right. The first strategy we're going to jump into is the anabolic alignment conversation. Remember, anabolic energy is what we're working towards on the right side of that first slide we talked about. Here's the shift. Instead of just saying we're going to have a status update meeting, you're going to have a meaning first conversation, right? And let's talk a bit more about that. Most one-on-ones you have stay stuck in the catabolic territory because they focus on updates, problem lists, pressure, all the things that might be going wrong in the small details. And that energy tells your team that you're a function, you're a thing, you're not a person. Because we're not talking about emotions, we're not talking about feelings, we're not talking about where everybody is on the team. You're only looking at the details of the project. Because when people understand why their work matters, in other words, the impact of what they're doing, the commitment stops being transactional and it becomes personal. And when you have a personal commitment from the people that are on your team, the results are incredible, right? So Energy Leadership 101, you become the catalyst who elevates the energy in the room rather than being the one who's depleting it or sucking all the air out of the room. And that's not a soft skill. That's the entire mechanism by which reliability gets built. That's what survives under pressure, deadlines, setbacks, because it's rooted in something more durable than a paycheck, right? So you want to make sure that you're able to make that shift. And when people understand why it matters, it makes all the difference in the world. There seems to be a difference of options as to how to implement the cooperative learning program, right? I mean, if people feel threatened by what they're supposed to be doing, they are not going to adopt it and have that personal commitment. Maya Angelou said it best. People will forget what you said. People may forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So think about this yourself. When was the last time a manager, a leader, somebody you reported to in any job made you feel genuinely seen? How long ago was that experience? Then ask yourself, the people that you're working with on your team or that you're reporting to or that report to you, when was the last time, the last thing you did that made them feel seen? So here's your homework, the thing that you can do to apply the alignment conversation. Before the next one-to-one you have with an individual, whether it's somebody who reports to you, somebody on a team, or somebody you report to, get these 3 questions ready. The first one is, what part of your work has felt most energizing lately and why? The second step or question, where do you feel drained or stuck right now? Step 3, what's one way I can support you next week? And then listen, no fixing, no interrupting, no redirecting your agenda or telling them they shouldn't feel that way or it makes no sense, right? This is the line leaders violate within about 40 seconds of most conversations. It's usually out of habit. It's just what they're used to doing, not because they have malice, they intentionally want to hurt somebody. But when you name it explicitly as the failure point, you understand what's going on. So write down one person's name right now. That's your homework target. Put the conversation on the calendar before you close the deck and the time that we end today. Not someday, right? Sometime or later, but right now. Who can you commit to having this conversation and asking these 3 questions this next week? All right, let's jump to the second strategy, which is leading from consciousness, not circumstance. So here's the shift we're going to be talking about. It goes from reacting on autopilot, meaning emotion and circumstance, to choosing your energy on purpose. So why does this work? Because when a leader operates from catabolic energy, that's the energy that's negative and draining and destructive, we see a lot of blame, frustration, fear, or failure. That energy is contagious, and it creates a culture where people protect themselves rather than show true commitment. So when you demonstrate conscious leadership, it means that you're becoming aware of your own energy before you engage your team, and that you're choosing your response instead of reacting on autopilot. And this is the core distinction. A missed target can be a threat, or it can be a chance to learn. The leader decides which story the team is going to absorb. So instead of letting your team feel threatened because they made a mistake, you have an opportunity to turn it into a learning experience, and people will take that learning and reach the commitment level and also find out what you need for them to do to be more successful. So you're always broadcasting, right? The only question is whether you're choosing the right frequency that your people will hear and respond to. And there's nothing that builds psychological safety like a leader who can miss a deadline without turning into a weather event, right? You got to have fun with it. You got to ask the questions and work on the shift from consciousness and not responding to the circumstance. And that's really about getting aligned with the values that you have. One of my favorite books is a book by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. And he talks about between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response, right? You can't control the circumstances. You can't control people's responses, what they do or don't do. But you, like Viktor Frankl says, you have the power to choose how you respond to what you're faced with. And the leaders that choose that anabolic, that life-giving, the sustainable and building response are going to be the ones who get the increased commitment of their people, their team, their clients, and everybody that they work with. Because your team is always standing in that mirror. If you show up stressed, they don't just notice, they absorb it and they hand it right back to them, their own reports, the people they work with, and everybody else they interact with. And that's why we talked earlier is you're the barometer. You set the temperature. You're the thermostat, right? You choose what the temperature of the room is by the leadership and how you lead. All right. So here's your homework. For the energy check-in, For the next 5 business days, imagine that you run a 2-minute energy check-in before every significant meeting you have. Ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is my energy right now? Is this anabolic or catabolic, and what's driving it? Then ask yourself, how do I choose and want to show up regardless of the circumstance? Okay. And then set one intention before you walk in. When we're aware of the energy that we are putting out, we can ask ourselves, is it in line with who I am and what my values are? And is it in line with the result I want to achieve? And if it isn't, just like Viktor Frankl said, you have a choice. You can choose how you're going to respond to the circumstance and set the temperature on your team, in your company, or with a client. So here's the key takeaway here. Track your check-ins in a simple note. And by the week's end, you're going to see the direct link between the energy that you bring and how your team responds to you. And I mean, literally, you can write this down. A scale of 1 to 10. Are you more anabolic, life-giving, energy sustainable, or are you more catabolic, tearing down, destructive? Just on one intention. And if you do that on a couple of lines for 5 days, you're going to start to see a pattern in how your energy is affecting the success you have and that of the people that you're working with. Third strategy, the reliability ritual. Here's the shift that we're going to be talking about. From leaving culture to chance, meaning it's just going to happen by itself, to making sure that you design it on purpose. Because trust is a series, right, of kept promises. Every commitment honored is a deposit, like a bank account. You're putting one in every time you keep your trust. Every time you break it or drop it, you get a withdrawal. And what's so dangerous is that if you overdraw, meaning you break too many, then you have a zero or negative balance in that account. And the specific format does matter a lot less than the consistency, right? Because when it's predictable, it tells your people it's safe. And when people feel they're safe to do their work, respond, ask questions, respond, learn, then that gives an anabolic energy that keeps people engaged, right? Because why does this work? Because dedication of you and your people is not made with grand gestures, big gifts, annual retreats, but it's in the small repeated tasks, the moments where people learn that they can count on their leader, right? And they know that in that weekly huddle, in the meeting, whatever you're experiencing, that there's going to be something good to come. And when conscious leadership becomes intentional leadership, you stop leaving culture to chance and you start designing on purpose those small, repeatable experiences that are going to build more loyalty over time with your people. So let's talk a little bit about consistency, right? Consistency does not need a trophy. It just needs a Friday, right? So let me tell you about that a little bit. Nobody puts the world's okayest boss mug in their trust column, right? Like if you're just an average boss, trust doesn't come from a gesture on the shelf, it's a thing. It comes from the things that you might do, for example, every single Friday, whether or not anybody's watching to see if you'll skip it. So I want to talk to you about if there's anything that you think you can do in this area. So let me ask those that are with us today, what's the one thing your team could set their watch to from you right now today? Is there anything that they can count on you to do consistently over time? Think about that. Throw it in the chat. If there's anything that you can think, what can your team set their watch to that they know that you're going to do or provide for them? And if you throw that in the chat, I'd love to hear it. And, you know, it's if you can't answer instantly, that's useful data too. And it doesn't mean that there's a failure. So let me talk about what I'm working towards, which is the next strategy. It's called the Friday anchor, right? Choose one ritual and commit to it for the next 4 weeks. In other words, choose a strong starting point. Let's talk about the Friday anchor. Every Friday, if you can commit to sending your team a short message, naming one collective win and one specific individual contribution that you noticed, put it on your calendar as recurring, non-negotiable block, right? I mean, if you could actually open your calendar right now and block an event on Friday for you to do this every single Friday without fail, name it, schedule it, commitments. You know, if you make this a commitment and put it in your calendar right now, it goes from a nice idea to something that you can use and apply in building a ritual that your team can set their watch to. So the power isn't in just one message. It's in the reliability of showing up without fail when you said you would. Man, every single Friday, Matt recognizes a success that we've had as a group and then calls somebody out and recognizes their individual effort in making that happen. That event repeated consistently is one of the key things that creates the culture of success and commitment. Try that for 4 weeks, not forever, not when things calm down, but 4 Fridays. That's my whole ask. Try it for 4 Fridays and see what happens. So the 3 strategies, let's go back and recap those. Strategy 1, lead with meaning, not just the status on where things are. That means focus on what the key points are and why it impacts you, the company, them, and the people you're serving. Strategy 2, choose your energy before you choose your words. That means when you walk into a meeting, into an interaction, look at where you are right now and what kind of energy you have and experience, and ask yourself, is this the energy I want to bring? Is this the energy I need to bring to get the best outcome for this meeting that's happening next? Strategy 3, build one ritual that your team can set their watch to, where they know you're going to consistently show up, perform, and give them something that lets them know it's a deposit. It's a deposit into the trust, reliability, and commitment category for you. Notice none of these 3 strategies require a big budget, a new HR platform, or a retreat in the mountains. But they do require you choosing differently, on purpose, and starting this week. So here's your commitment. One action this week. Pick one strategy, just one of the 3 we talked about, and anchor it to something you already do. It means tie it so it's applicable and you can put it in action. Write it down, because when you name it and write it down, it has much more higher degree that you're going to follow through when you've named it and written it down. Just thinking about it and not committing it to paper or to a specific time that you're going to do is a big issue. Put a date on it before you close this tab or leave this room today. So pick one, name it, and do it. Commit to yourself that you're going to take one of these strategies and put it into action. And this is the most single important slide of this whole little workshop together. It's the difference between nice content and behavior change. And it's not about rushing it, okay? Fidelity and dedication are not accidents of hiring well. They are the predictable result of a leader who knows how to manage their own energy, and they can elevate the energy of others. And they build consistent, intentional practices into the rhythm of your team. So don't try all 3 at once. Don't dump them on your team. They're going to say, where have you been? What have you been working on? But pick one and anchor it to something that you already do. And then see what happens. You're going to start to notice if you consistently execute one of these strategies over time, within a month, you're going to notice a shift. There's deeper engagement. stronger reliability, and a team that chooses to commit rather than simply comply. So I'm going to give you 60 seconds right now. And I want you to literally type or write down the one action item you're going to do and when you're going to do it by. Commit. Pick one, name it, and do it. I'm going to give you a few seconds to do that. And then we are going to open up to questions about any of the content that we had today and opportunities, something that you'd like to talk to me about or that I can help you on. I would love to know. So just a few more seconds, take that time, pick a strategy, write it down. So I'm going to open up the floor right now and see, do you have any questions, any opportunity, something that you'd like help with that you're experiencing right now? Feel free to raise your hand, throw something in the chat, and I will call on you, or you can ask it in the chat, and I will do my best to answer it from you. So if you have a question, raise your hand or throw it in the chat, and I will do my best to answer it. It can be on anything you're working on, anything you're dealing with that you like help, feedback, or that you are desirous of moving forward on. So I'll give you a few seconds to do that. And while you're thinking about questions and what you're doing, it's all about leading with intention. And that's something that you can start today, because the energy that you bring to the people that you work with is the exact energy that you're going to get back. And if you want to learn how to build this into your leadership rhythm, take all these concepts and more, then I have an offer for you that I'd like to share. If you want to make your intentions your new reality, then I invite you for a complimentary coaching session right now. You can scan the QR code that's on the screen. You can copy the link down, and that's going to take you with a few minor questions, and you're going to get a complimentary core energy coaching session with me. If you attended this workshop today, this is not a sales pitch. There's no strings attached. It's an opportunity for you to pick one thing that you'd like to work on and make progress on in your business, in your life, in your company, in your team. And we will spend that time working through it and giving you some positive forward steps. So scan that QR code, follow the link, and let me know when you'd like to meet. So thank you for your time today. Thank you for joining me. If you haven't scheduled your complimentary core energy session, feel free to grab that link. I look forward to seeing you on the next webinar. And that next webinar date will be September 3rd at 2 p.m. Thanks for your time today. I look forward to seeing you on the other side.